Yo, so this is going to be my outlook for the week that starts on the 13th of March 2023. So a couple of things I want to go before the outlook. One is why I'm recording this. So the reason I'm recording this instead of doing it live is because basically I was doing all my outlooks on Zoom before, and it was good doing them on Zoom. The discussion was good, but because we did the outlook on the sort of group outlook on Sunday, I felt that one, having the discussion beforehand was sort of limiting the sort of points that I was discussing in Sunday's session, and also when I was discussing ideas in Sunday's session, I was just sort of repeating myself. So I think it's better to do the sort of discussion part of the outlook on Sunday, and then do my actual outlook sort of beforehand, like this, pre-record it and get it done. And secondly, where I've been, basically, I had a week off because the outcomes of my trade so far this year haven't been ideal. So instead of having the week off like I normally would at the end of the quarter, which is only like a couple of weeks away, I decided to move it forward a couple of weeks and just have it off now, as it's probably more beneficial to have it now than to just sort of leave it. So that's that. So I'll start off by going over the levels that I'm looking at going into this week. Everything's pretty much fucking stupid. Can't I moved it again? Everything's pretty much the same as what I was looking at previously. Like I've not really. There's only one level that I've added since my last outlook. So I'll start off by going to the downside. So first level that I'm really looking at is the top end of this previous range. Talked about this loads in previous outlooks, coming from the 28th of December all the way across here. Really sort of clear reaction to it all the way across here, then with forming support above it here. So clearly a very important level. Below that, the Q2 base level that Chris was talking about a lot last year. We've been talking about that a lot this year as well. Coming from the 23rd of March as daily support. Below that, the next real level is on the 4 hour that I'm looking at. So that's coming from the resistance on the 17th of January. See that there. And below that, the monthly level that I've talked about loads in previous outlooks. Well, I've got it marked out from here instead of there. But yeah, that's coming from the 3rd of May. Let's see. So above that, so looking to the upside of where sort of price is now, I've got a daily resistance that I've talked about, and I've pretty much talked about all these levels before, but I'll just go over them again. May the 5th, 2020, or May the 4th even, 2022, we've seen reaction all the way across here, tapping into it here more recently, and then very recently forming support above it here. So still looking at this level here. Above that, I've got a level that I've literally just added today when I was looking over the chart. So we formed resistance here on the daily on the 21st of February, and then we've sort of seen reaction to it all the way across here. Then you go to the 4 hour, and it's sort of really clear the reaction here. So if price was to start breaking through here, I think that there is a decent chance that we'd end up reacting here. Just because we moved through it cleanly once or twice doesn't really mean much when the level is sort of as significant as it is. We've seen all the reaction that we've seen to it looking left. So above this level here, this is a level that Chris was talking about in, I can't remember if this was the June the 5th webinar or not. I think it might have been, or the outlook from June the 5th. So April 14th, daily support. And then above that, we've got this sort of level here that we've seen reaction to all the way across. I've got that marked out from I think I've got it marked out from the weekly. Yeah, the weekly top wick there. And this also lines through with our quarterly resistance here. So worth keeping an eye on that we are coming towards the end of the quarter. So sort of associated with that, we have all the sort of quarterly data releases that are coming out. And also from a sort of institutional perspective, I know we don't really look at this sort of stuff, but quarter points of the year are usually the times that, from what I've sort of, from my understanding, when people can look to sort of position themselves for the new quarter and also sort of secure profits from this sort of ongoing quarter. But that's not sort of something that we really look at, but it's interesting to sort of keep in mind. So that's levels done. Talking about sort of scenarios going into the week, I think it's interesting what we've done over the last week while I haven't really been here. A fairly sort of small move overall, only 250 pips. But we have formed resistance on the weekly. We're still holding above our previous daily resistance here. So, or previous zone high. So I think holding support above here will be key if we want to see upside. I think that's pretty obvious. If we start to get structure below this point here, on say the hourly, I think it makes sense for us to sort of reside within this sort of range 1, if you like. So I'm still seeing this as 3 separate ranges really. So we've got sort of 1, 2, and 3. So I'm not going to go into scenarios sort of too much into what could happen, because I think it's a lot more sensible to play it from a session to session perspective. But basically, I'm looking at these main reaction points if we do start to break down. So hourly structure below here would be the first sort of indicator that upside's not sort of what's going to happen in the sort of short-term future. So we start to break down, we get to the bottom end of range 1, and then obviously start to see that we'll be sort of sitting in range 2, I think. or if we start to see that, we're obviously just pinging around in range 1. There's no point me going. There's like a million different sort of scenarios. Anyone can sort of rattle them all off, but that's sort of how I'm viewing this. 3 separate ranges still. I think to the upside, it's interesting how we've just seen a really clean move through here. I think it would make sense right now, or more sense than not, because we are still holding above here, to see something like this here, sort of complete the triangle of love. But at the same time, we have just seen a massive rejection here, so there's no point sort of calling upside or downside at the minute. I don't think I'm overly confident calling buys or sells currently. Like I said, I'm just going to sort of follow it from a session to session perspective, watching for reaction at any of these levels here. So if we were to start breaking up, I really wouldn't be surprised to see sort of either sort of price rejecting from these levels that I've got marked up, or even just sort of hesitating around them before managing to break up, form support above. But so that's sort of what I'm looking at from a sort of overall perspective. Not really too confident calling buys or sells right now, and personally I won't be trading within any of these. These are sort of higher time frame zones here. I know it looks like I've written off sort of a lot of the chart here, but with the reaction that we've seen, I think at my current ability level, it doesn't really make sense for me to be sort of pushing my luck through any, like sort of trying to trade through any of these levels until I've sort of got at least a bit of a profit buffer for the year. So yeah, that's sort of what I'm looking at overall. So going on to the sort of data releases going into the week. Sunday US daylight savings. I'll probably put a link to this when I post my outlook so you can sort of go over it. Sunday US daylight savings, sort of explain that there. Since we're trading in London, it shouldn't mean too much to us. If you do trade the US sessions, then you should probably pay attention to that. We've also got the BSI manufacturing index for the JPY coming out on Sunday. Monday, fairly light day. Eurogroup meetings, sort of explain what that is there. NPC member speech, spoke about these because there's been loads of these recently. Usually last like 15 minutes to 2.5 hours. Tuesday, we've got a load of GBP unemployment unemployment stuff going on. We've also got these meetings here, which I've sort of written a little explanation for. Wednesday, actually, I forgot to mention, on Tuesday, I won't be trading looking to get involved in anything till 7:15 once the GBP date release is released. Monday, I don't really have any date releases that I need to plan around, so I'd be happy to trade sort of any time from like sort of 7 AM onwards. Yeah, Tuesday, just said that. Won't be looking to get involved in anything until 7:15. Wednesday, another fairly light day. Nothing that I'd really need to plan around, but it is worth noting that we do have the annual budget release at 12:30. I know that's sort of well outside of our session, but I think that could be something that has the potential to cause price to range up until the sort of release at midday. So I wouldn't write this day off sort of too soon. But if we are in the session and it gets to sort of 8:30, 9, and price is just doing nothing, then it could be worth just sort of calling it for the session and wait until all this sort of stuff is cleared up. I've sort of linked to an article there that basically gives a brief explanation of the sort of spring budget and what's going on with that. Let's see, Thursday, probably the lightest day out of everything because there's literally nothing going on. And then Friday, we have a couple of GBP things going on sort of throughout the session, like some FPC meetings going on and the sort of consumer inflation expectations, all that sort of explained there if anyone gives a shit about that. I don't know if you do or not. But there's nothing really there that I'd need to plan around, in my opinion. So a fairly light week overall. We've got a couple of things going on, but nothing sort of major except for the annual budget release, really. So anyway, that's what I'm sort of looking at going into this week. Yeah, so that's it. Cheers.